here. I think it's time to have the Lamonte Wade Jr.
Ooh.
discussion.
Let
And
me sit up. I'm ready.
I know, yeah, we're all like he's going to get time. He's a vet. He's gonna get some time. But this thought process by the team that he should get to start and he deserves to start against every right-handed pitcher is completely asinine to me at this point. The guy is about to exit the interstate on the wrong exit ramp. Like, he's hitting 102 right now, and we're 3 weeks into the season. Like,
and I think he has like a 170 on base.
Yeah, like it's a small sample size. It can change quickly. He could have like 2-3 hit games, and all of a sudden he's hitting like 230. But it's still like you can't just trot him out every day when he's doing this. At some point, you got to give Casey a game against some right-handed pitchers. And yeah, Casey today he struck out 3 times on changeups that he clearly was not picking up from Sanchez. A lot of guys weren't, but he's at least playing like really good defense, shows flashes, and as ugly as Casey might look at the plate sometimes, he's looked a hell of a lot better than Wade has in his limited shots. So it's just, I don't know how long you give him. I would say like if he's hitting like this when Harrar gets back, like he better be on the bench. Like you can't play him.
No, yeah, and the thing is with Wade, his best asset as a hitter is not swinging the bat and getting on base some way, shape, or form. Like that's what he's known for. That's why he was trotted out as the godsend of a first or of a leadoff hitter. Like because he works the count, he gets on base. Well, he's not getting on base. So I mean, they're come like you said, it's early, it's barely mid-April, but there has to be serious discussions. Like you said, once Harrar is back and healthy, and you got to make a tough decision about him because obviously you can't take Wilmer out. Like he's too valuable at the plate right now, and Harrar was deserving of practically an everyday job, so you can't slide him in the DH role. It's just going to be one of those things where you're going to have to find a spot for him, in my opinion. And Wade's he's the odd man out as it stands this moment. Give it, like you said, 3-4 weeks. And if, you aren't seeing any type of improvement, you've got to make those difficult decisions. Like, I know it's going to hurt tons of Giants fans, but we got to focus on the now and look towards the future. We can't look at who late night Lamonte was back in 2023. So,
yeah. Well, and like, what does it hurt this team to give like one of Wade's starts each week right now to Casey?
It doesn't.
Like, okay, you're starting 4 or 5 days a week as it stands because the league is 75% right-handed. Give one of those starts to Casey because Wade ain't contributing right now. And this idea that Casey's going to magically improve against right-handed pitching by facing one righty a week in one of his starts when he starts against a lefty and he gets to face, a right-handed reliever late in a game that's got nasty stuff and he's going to somehow improve against righties getting 1 or 2 at bats a week against a righty. It's like, that's not going to happen. He needs more playing time than that if you want to see improvement. Yeah. And Wade isn't exactly earning this playing time right now. So I would love to see just even throw Casey one of those starts so he just gets a little bit more playing time and a little more leash. And, if he starts earning more of it, keep taking it because until Wade shows that he's back to doing what he was and he's earning the playing time, you can't keep trotting a dude out that's hitting 102. Like he's starting to venture dangerously close to, what was it, like July Patrick Bailey numbers? Like, dude, you got to get going.
Well, especially if this season is going to be like your evaluation year for your younger players.
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense if that's your whole focal point of the 2025 season is to see what you have, focus on development, and look towards the future. It makes no sense to keep trotting out a 32-year-old Lamonte Wade Jr. who's barely hitting over 100. Like it makes no logical sense in the long run. So yeah, to your point, if you can find a day to get a Casey Schmidt in there, get him occasional starts, even if it's against a righty where it's not going to be, the best matchup on paper. But if your goal is ultimately evaluating what you have in house and looking towards the future, I mean, it only makes sense to start leading that direction. Granted, like everyone's saying and we're saying, it is very early, but you got to start having these difficult conversations at some point. So that's just where I stand.
And where I stand on this is Wade is currently at 49 at bats. I think we're already at the point of give Casey one additional start per week. He already gets one typically against an opposing lefty starting pitcher. Give him one additional start per week against right-handed pitching, because you got to start working some of these other guys in. You can't just leave all of your bench players out to dry and sitting on the bench getting cold. And then you have a game like today where you have Sam Huff and Christian Koss coming off the bench. Huff has 18 at-bats on the season right now, and Koss has 14, spread out over almost 3 weeks of baseball, guys. Like, I know everybody's very impatient with those guys and how they're not hitting, but it is extremely difficult to hit big league pitching as is. And when you're giving these guys not even 3 full at-bats, basically, for every, say, 5 games being played, like, it's going to be really freaking tough. Like, these guys are put into very difficult situations with the limited amount of at-bats they have. And another thing I want to point out is Sam Huff was a pretty successful offensive catcher and all up and through the minor leagues, and was a top prospect at one point for in the Rangers system. And I really do legitimately think that he will get the bat going if the Giants give him a little bit more consistent at-bats. And I'm not saying go and bench Bailey. They're not going to do that. But there are times where you could take Bailey early out of the game, and there's been games where the Giants are down 3-4 runs. Just put Sam Huff in and get him an extra at-bat here and there. And then with Christian Koss, I understand we're going to roll with the starters, and then Fitz has picked it up a lot at second base. But same thing, you got to get these guys worked in sometimes. Take advantage of these games where you're down by a few runs. And I'm not saying wave the white flag, but you got to get these guys more at-bats if you ever want them to do anything, because it is not going to be sustainable for any hitter. I don't care who it is. If they're getting, 3 at-bats in a week, and then you just randomly put them in, say they have one good game, they're not going to continue to, pile good game after good game when they're getting their at-bats so spread out. So going back to Wade, 49 at-bats, I would say give Schmidt one of his starts per week right now. And then by the time Wade gets up to 100 at-bats, if he has not figured out by that time, he needs to be in a full-on platoon. And I'm not saying righty-lefty platoon, because he would still be getting most of the at-bats. I'm saying he needs to be in a 50-50 timeshare at first base, because the at-bat quality has been atrocious basically since the Houston series, when he started to show a little bit of signs of life. And then going back to Casey, I know he had the hat trick today, which obviously not ideal, especially given that he was going against a lefty starter. But his last 4 batted balls in play have gone for 108 miles per hour exit velo, 101.7 miles per hour exit velo, 110.2 miles per hour exit velo, and 105.6 miles per hour exit velo. 3 of those 4 balls put in play were outs. 3 out of 4. Yeah. Only one of those went for a single. Like,
and the guy is 1 mile an hour one was a ball that he probably missed by like a millimeter on the lumber from being a go ahead home run. Like,
yes,
that was a warning track shot in crappy weather.
So ultimately, Casey is going to break through if you give him more opportunities. He's shown very nice, steady progression over the last 3 seasons. And something we've discussed is a lot of Giants fans base their evaluation on Casey Schmidt in the year that he was called up way too early. He went and started a season in, I believe, High A Eugene, worked to Richmond, got a handful of at-bats down there, did well, went up to Sacramento, and then had to fill in at shortstop because both Brandon Crawford was hurt and the Giants had no other options to go to, and he was completely rushed up. And the Giants basically hung him out to dry. He struggled, and the Giants were just going to let him struggle through that because they had no other shortstop options at that time. And a lot of Giants fans have kind of held on to that with Casey, even though last year in very small sample sizes hit pretty well and then went back and forth to Sacramento after only, a cup of tea in the big leagues, and did really well in Sacramento, showed improved plate discipline. And then he's had some very nice games in San Francisco as well, in, like I said, very limited opportunities. And this is a guy that not only can be a stopgap for you right now at first base until Bryce Eldridge is developed, but he's a guy that can be an extremely valuable, versatile, utility guy if Fitz is going to be the long-term answer at second base. So why not get him going and start to slowly move on from Wade if all the signs are there? Because I believe Wade is in a contract year right now, is he not?
Yeah, he might. They might be able to arb him one more time. I can't remember, but
I believe this is a contract year for Wade. And I mean, either way, he's what, 30 years old, 31, 32? Like, what are we doing?
Be paying
here?
him $7+ million. Like that, to me, it's that simple.
It's a contract year for him, Wade, and Wilmer.
Yes.
And to Ricky's point about what he just said about 2023, and I think it's completely unfair to judge Casey off of that season, is if you looked at what Casey had when he got called up in May or whatever that year, Casey had 15 at bats in AA and 134 at bats in AAA. This guy had 149 at bats in the upper levels of the system and got brought up. And so to judge based off of that, to me, it's just like he was clearly rushed, clearly not ready. So I just take 2023 and I just throw that in the garbage. Like, it's not, you got an idea of what kind of player he is, but like basing your opinion of the results there, where he went through one of probably the worst slumps of his life, it just to me is asinine. So judge him off of the last year. And in the last year, we've seen steady improvements. So that's just all I would say to those people. Looking ahead, and this is where, to Ricky's point, like of getting Wade in more of like a timeshare, like I would just be like favorable at matchups. Like they pitch, God help us, we play against Kyle Hendricks on Saturday, and Wade has like a 1,300 OPS against Hendricks in his career. Yeah, by all means, Wade should be playing in that game. And there are a few, there are right-handed pitchers that he's had a lot of success on. Sure, play him against those guys, but like I'm reaching the point here where I just you reach a point where your average is so bad that it's like you can't just keep doing it. Until that guy shows signs of life, you can't do it. So it's rough. All right, you guys got anything else on the Wade thing, or do we want to turn the page? I've got a couple here.
Yeah, we'll move on from the Wade thing.
Oh, here. Well, this is kind of relevant to it from Tom. Early team success is putting the young evaluation process on hold for the present. Yeah, I agree. I mean, as long as the team's winning, they're not going to sit there and like actively try to develop their young players. But like in the case of Casey Schmidt versus Lamonte Wade Jr., Lamont's not helping you win. So it's not a, hey, can we get an evaluation on Casey? I mean, yes, we are. I am advocating to give him some at-bats against right-handed pitching to hopefully help him improve in that regard, because we don't really know if he can or not when he never faces them. But it's just in this case, it's part of it is the team is just not, like, they're getting nothing from Lamonte Wade right now. So he's not helping them win games. So even though they are winning, I can't sit there and go, well, don't change Wade because they're winning. Like, that's somewhere they can improve.
Yeah.
So